So today we are here with the one and only Arthur Colker from StayFi, and we are going to talk all about building your email database, email marketing, and we're even going to get an amazing demo of the software. But Arthur, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. Excited to chat.
So, before we dive into some of the techie stuff, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get started in this world of short term rentals and email marketing and database building, all the fun stuff?
Yeah, I actually fell into short-term rentals or vacation rentals accidentally. Um, my background is in marketing, specifically digital marketing, and I had my own small agency. And one of my clients that approached me that I actually knew through business school happened to run a 100+ unit property management business, primarily in New Orleans, Savannah, and a few other markets. And they came to me with the challenge of they were almost 100% dependent on Airbnb and VRBO, and they wanted to build their own brand and drive bookings, obviously, to their own website. So when I met with them, I was looking for, what are the lowest hanging fruits in terms of driving more bookings? And for me, that would be to start with people that already stayed and love them. Since, most people are very comfortable booking on an OTA, maybe have never booked directly with a vacation rental company before. So I thought, hey, those people would have stayed with you, love the product, and then would be much easier to convince to come back and book directly. And then they shared with me that their issue there was that they actually had no guest data to use because obviously the big OTAs don't share things like emails of the booker with vacation rental companies. And then outside of that, they also manage these giant properties where there were, 10, 15, 20 people staying there. And obviously nobody had access to data about those folks. So we met together. We actually came up with a great brand for them called Heirloom. We came up with some different direct marketing strategies, but this issue of how do we actually get data on who stays with you persisted. And so we looked at a bunch of potential solutions and landed on let's collect through when the guest logs into Wi-Fi because that's what people organically or naturally are going to do during the course of the stay. Let's not invent a new process that we're forcing guests to fill out forms or use guidebooks or go some other way because those are all maybe work a little bit, but you're not going to get the same level of collection as if you interrupted, let's say, logging into the internet and collected data at that point. Initially, we were just going to purchase the same software you might have seen at a hotel or a coffee shop or an airport, but it turned out those solutions didn't really work in vacation rentals for several different reasons. So I thought, hey, I probably could hack together a very simple Wi-Fi based data capture solution for this client, which is what we ended up doing. And then naturally, I looked beyond them and said, hey, would other companies be interested in this solution? And it turned out many had the same issue. And that's how StayFi was born, is just with that organic experience with one client and then slowly growing the product to serve more and more vacation rental operators.
That's amazing. And I'm curious, how long ago was that?
I met with them, that was in 2018.
Okay.
Then the product itself really wasn't ready to go until 2019, which is when we actually launched StayFi for anyone to use. And then some things happened in 2020, which were challenging for a new business, as you could imagine, where, we had just maybe signed up our first 5 to 10 customers and then all of them shut their businesses down. So things kind of went back to ground zero, let's say. And then we kind of restarted in 2021. And that's really when StayFi, as we know it today, really started.
That's amazing. And I'm curious, would you just mind sharing with us a little bit about what your team looks like today, where you're based, and how your company has grown?
Yeah, so today we are around 16 people. Our main office is here in New York City. There's about 5 of us here, but we have folks all over the world. We have sales folks in Boston and Hawaii. We have developers in Romania and Brazil and Argentina. So we do have an office, and I like having. Obviously, it's nice to see people in person, but most of the team is remote. And StayFi also, as a technology company, We do have some outside investors, but the largest ones are all our customers. So some of our earliest large property management customers are the main investors in the business, which is awesome because our investors are totally aligned with building a vertically specific product for the vacation rental industry. That's also what differentiates us from other kind of like Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi marketing / email marketing companies, is that they're trying to appeal to many different verticals, hotels, coffee
Mhm.
shops. But we're only really focused on vacation rentals or some smaller hospitality locations like motel conversions and things like that. So
Mhm.
everything we build is focused on this specific customer base, which lets us bring features to the market that other people couldn't do. So I'm show you some of those obviously later in our demo, but that's some of the most exciting things we are doing are the ones that are really tailored towards this one industry.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, and I am a StayFi user and fan, and one of my favorite things, and again, I know this is the entire basis of your platform or foundational element, is that when a family of 10 comes and stays in one of my properties, I can capture email addresses for all 10 of those guests and market back to them instead of just the original booker, right? And it is so easy to set up. That's what I love as well. So, um, Arthur, would you mind just walking us through a little bit about what is required at the unit level or at the property level? What is required in order to have StayFi intact?
Yep. So to use StayFi, we have a few different services now, but the one you mentioned is definitely the most one we're well known for, which is Wi-Fi based data collection. And in that scenario, we sell you a device called an access point. This device plugs into the home's router and it will broadcast a new Wi-Fi network in that property. So you can imagine you have your home's original network, maybe from like a Spectrum router, let's say, that can actually stay running. It can stay broadcasting the network that all your home devices are on. When you plug the device in that we sell you, it will broadcast a new Wi-Fi network that you name in our platform, something like Vacation Rental Guests Network. When the guest joins that network, that's when they are presented with the captive portal, which is where they input their information, which you also design and customize in our platform to give that branded, unique, even at the property level experience where it can have a photo of the property, text relating to the property. So that's the core data collection pieces. You get the device, which can cost somewhere between $100 and $200, depending on the model you need for the size unit you have. And then you collect data when guests join that network. There's all these other benefits to running this kind of separate guest network that we'll go through when we go through the platform, but that's kind of the core basis of the data collection service.
Yeah. And for anyone watching this, I will share on the user side, it's like when you go to Starbucks and you're logging into Starbucks Wi Fi, you put in your name, your email, you push the submit button, and you click a little box and you're good to go. And then Starbucks magically shows you a beautiful coffee drink that they want you to buy, right? So we can do the same thing for our short term rentals, which I think is amazing. I want to go ahead and dive into a demo if you're cool with it. I'm going to
Yeah.
bring your screen up on my screen and talk to us about what we're looking at here.
Yep. So this is the StayFi portal that you, as the operator, would be using. And to get started, you just sign up on StayFi's website. There's no contracts. You don't have to do a demo with us if you don't want, but of course, you're welcome to. So it's all fundamentally like self service. So, like you said, it's very easy to set up and it's intended so that you can set it up on your own. And so, first, let's talk about the Wi Fi login experience. So, we can jump over to Wi Fi experience here. So when the guest logs into the Wi-Fi, it's really a two-step process. First, guests are going to see that splash page, which is where you have the actual data collection form. And then we take them to another page once they hit connect, which we call the home page. And you can think of the home page as a link tree, if you've ever seen that product, for
Mhm.
your vacation rental. So it's a web page where you can list all of the essential links, upsells, other products and services you want to advertise to guests all on one page right when they log into the Wi-Fi. You do that through our splash page editor. So first, this is the splash page editor. So you can see the preview here on the right. And this is what the guest sees when they join. And obviously, you can edit the text, the logo up top, decide what fields you want to collect. In this case, we're collecting name, email, and phone number for text marketing, which is one of the other tools that we have within StayFi, so that this experience is totally customizable, so you can collect what you'd like and show the guest information about the brand.
Can I pause you? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I want to call something out really quickly. When we think about digital marketing and folks having a traditional landing page, oftentimes requiring someone to put in a mobile phone number will cause people to drop, right? To not submit their info. I just want to call out how genius this is, because when people want to get on Wi-Fi, like, they will give their right arm, right, to be able to access the Wi-Fi. So I love that the phone number is required here, because it provides just a really great way for you to capture that info. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. Of course, yeah. I mean, so you can decide whether you want to collect phone numbers or not. It's totally up to you. And then we also use a service called Zero Bounce that validates that the emails we collect are real. So you can't just enter random characters and get on the line with a fake email if you want to acquire a real one. So,
And does that come back in real time?
yes. So if someone were to enter like fake at fake.com, it would say, please enter a valid email address when they try to hit connect. And then guests only have to do this once per device. So if I have a phone and a laptop, I would do this on each device. And then once I hit connect, that device is authenticated for 30 days. So within that 30-day period, I don't have to re-log in on that same device, which is nice. Once the guests hit connect, they're taken to this page called the home page. I'll show it here in the desktop form. And this is where you can have all the essential links for this property. So on this one here, which is the small preview on the right, they have a link to book this property again. So you can link them directly to the booking page for this property. You can link to a guidebook, whether you use TouchStay, Hostfully, Breezeway. It can even be just a PDF you upload. It will take the guests right to your guidebook. Visit our website, can be just your own website, obviously. And then we have two integrated upsell partners, one called the HostCo and one called Viator. So the HostCo, if you go to this store, it will actually allow you to sell goods and services for this property. Most popular ones are early check-in and late checkout, but you can sell anything you like, as well as all these partners will earn a commission. And then our other partner here is called Viator, where you will get an 8% commission if anyone books any of these tours within 30 days of clicking the link. So those are the two integrated partners here, where you can have your own custom store or sell these tours and activities. But you can place custom buttons here. So you can, for instance, if you use a Minoan store, which I know we talked about before we jumped on here, you can link to the Minoan store for this listing. If you just have your own concierge page on your website where you sell your own goods and services, you can link there. So this is an opportunity to link guests to all of your different upsells. I see other folks, they really want to purchase or really want to push late checkout. So they'll actually make a late checkout button here and link directly to the late checkout item in their HostCo store for guests to request that. So you can think of this as kind of like a very customizable page where you can push or emphasize any product or service you really want to get in front of not just the booker, but everyone staying in the rental. And then obviously we would want to share this page with guests, not just in that Wi-Fi login flow. So in all of our email and texting tools, we actually have this other tool called pre-arrival messaging, which we can talk about too. Basically, you can send this page to guests all other sorts of ways. For instance, in a text message when they join the Wi-Fi. So that way they have access to these links during the whole stay, not just when they log into the Wi-Fi.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then this also can be linked outside of the Wi-Fi experience. So if you want to put it on a QR code on a fridge magnet, or you want to send it through another message to guests, you can always link them to this page other places. So we wanted to make this great place for you to advertise any goods or services, or just staying at this property again to your guests, and let guests get in front of it many different ways.
And you know what I love about this too is it's kind of a hub, if you will. So it provides access to a variety of different pieces of information, whereas without the hub, you would have to have 7 QR codes, right? Linking
Yep.
to individual things. So I love that.
Yep. So here is where you can then, edit all of these pages. We make it very easy. We have this bulk editor. So if you want to edit, you have 20 properties, you can go and edit all of these links for all your home pages across all your properties in one place. So we make it very easy. So you link to the guidebook. If you want to advertise early check-in, you would link to that here. You would link your late checkout, your Viator page, all of that you can link to and edit all of the home pages across all your properties. So this is kind of the Wi-Fi experience here. Then it's kind of the question is, what do you want to do with this data? And we take all the data we collect and we add it to this guest list here. So on this page, you'll see every guest that's joined the Wi-Fi along with their email, phone number. I talked about zero bounce, so like the status of that email, the property they were in, property group, so you can like group homes, when they were there, what they consented to. All of that is available right here. And then, of course, we want to send that data to places where you can use it for marketing. So within StayFi, we then integrate with a bunch of marketing tools that many people already are using. And then we can talk about it in a minute, but we also have our own email marketing tool if you want to keep everything in one platform. And we have some very cool features in our email marketing tool we just launched to make it even easier to market to guests, which I can show you in a minute. But you can think of it as, we're collecting all your data. You want to send it somewhere to obviously market. And then whether it's MailChimp that you've used and loved for years or our own tool.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Mhm.
So I use ConvertKit in my own business, and it's great to know that this is integrated with ConvertKit because I have been downloading and uploading it manually and adding a tag. So if I am connecting to ConvertKit and uploading these folks, this is exactly what I was going to ask.
Yes.
Can I tag the guests? Okay.
Yep. So you can add StayFi to the tag. You can add property name. MailChimp is definitely the most popular third-party service, obviously outside of using our own email tool.
Mhm.
In that case, you still have the ability to add tags or merge fields, because in MailChimp, they make it complicated because you have two different things that are very similar, but you can use them slightly different ways. Yep, so you have all that ability. And then I'll just talk briefly about our property management software integrations. Essentially, we do something here where when you connect your property management software, we'll go through all of your historical reservations as well as new ones. And if you have real emails associated with them, we also will pull them into the guest list. So if you, let's say, already had 1,000 emails in your OwnerRes account, we would bring them all automatically into email marketing for you. So you would actually start with a nice list already, and then, of course, you would add to it. So that's why some customers, and we have more this way, they actually only use our email marketing tool with the data they're already collecting. Maybe they manage a ton of one-bedroom condos where they're happy with, there's only 2 guests per stay, and they're happy with just the booker's email. In that case, great. Let's just set you up with a great email marketing tool. And then let's say you launch a home that sleeps 20. Let's add the Wi-Fi there, right? Because that's obviously going to be a place where we collect as much data as we can. So it's very flexible within StayFi in terms of which properties you might want to use Wi-Fi in, and then centralizing data into one place to do email marketing from.
Love it.
And then going into email marketing, I think, the focus of StayFi right now is, we have a great way to collect data, to centralize data from your software. Now, obviously, we need to actually use that data to drive bookings and revenue, or else, why are you using the service, right?
What's the point, right?
Yes. And this is where we have worked really hard lately to make it really easy to send newsletters and welcome automations.
Okay.
So we actually just launched this new kind of homepage for email marketing, where we have what we call one-click campaigns that you can now set up. So as an example, I can just run through very quickly is we have something called a Wi-Fi welcome email. So you can imagine guest joins the Wi-Fi. We want to trigger an email right away to that person. So we want to email all 10 people right when they join. But what can make this email hard to use, let's say, is you want to include a bunch of like custom links in this email. So when we build this email for you, which of course then you can edit all the details here in terms of exactly what text, but we provide a lot of pre-built text. We have things like we want to link to your homepage, right? But
Mhm.
it can be complicated for somebody who isn't that sophisticated with email marketing to like understand how to insert these like merge fields that will dynamically send the guest to the right homepage depending on the property they're in. So we kind of do all of that for you so that this button will send the guests to the homepage for that property. Same if you've associated a guidebook, we'll send them to the guidebook for that property. Visit our website. We have a book again widget that you can use too. That's not in here. But essentially, we pre-built these emails for you with all the branding you've already added to StayFi so that we have set up this welcome email for you right away that has all these dynamic links that will work for you. And then the same with just a generic newsletter campaign. We pre-build this email with all the information we have about you so far. And then we have a bunch of these different sections that then you can go and edit. And let's say you want to feature 4 different properties, you can just upload the images for those properties, or if they already have them in StayFi, they'll be here for you. And then you can turn on and off these different sections for what you want to include in this email. And we have like a property management widget, book featured listings, a generic book direct and save section. So you can go through this process, build a very good looking newsletter with all the relevant information about your brand, and send it right away to all of the data you've collected from StayFi or from other sources. And so over the next few months, we're going to be releasing more and more of these kind of pre-built one-click
Mhm.
campaigns to
Mhm.
make it easy so that anybody can set an email and send it right away. And then within StayFi, for more advanced users, we still have all of these much more customizable template variations, which is going to be more akin to what you would have used in like a MailChimp, where you can go through like a WYSIWYG or these like drag and drop builders to build something very specific for your company. So you
Mhm.
want to have both options, like one-click campaigns for people that don't want to get into the details of designing custom templates, and then we have obviously custom template builder for more advanced folks who want to do something a little different.
Sure. And in your experience from a newsletter perspective, how often should a short-term rental or a vacation rental host issue a newsletter? Do you recommend that monthly, quarterly? What are your thoughts?
I think monthly is a good starting point, and we see somewhere between like 250 to 500 emails in your list is like a good point where the ROI is going to be positive. What we definitely recommend is to start with to set up a Wi-Fi welcome automation like I showed here, so that
Mhm.
you're at least doing an email once to everybody,
Mhm.
right? So the automation is a great way to get started because everyone's going to get emailed and you only have to set it up one time. Then later on, once your list gets a little bigger, have a few hundred contacts, then I would layer on the monthly newsletter, right?
Okay.
So other things that we definitely recommend sending, and like one of the next one-click campaigns we'll be launching, which you can obviously send now just on your own, is availability-based emails, especially folks with smaller inventory, because obviously if you send it on a newsletter, but the next 3 months of your vacation rental is totally booked, that can be a little disappointing for people that want to book with you because you have no availability. So, what we recommend doing is looking at your calendar, finding properties that have available blocks of time, and to actually incorporate that into the email. So, you let guests know, like, hey, we have these dates available at this
Mhm.
property, and we'll give you like a special discount to book direct. So, that kind of last minute availability. So, you're really aligning people to the inventory and availability you have and getting them to click through if they're interested, as opposed to sending folks to properties where you can't book them, which is
Yeah,
obviously a disappointing experience.
right. And I'm curious, I'm sure we'll talk about it when we get to text marketing, but I would envision from your perspective, kind of a last minute booking opportunity would be great to send via text. Would you agree?
100%. So those are some of the ones we see that have the highest conversion, especially folks that are in like a drive to market. Maybe you have a cancellation for the next weekend. Let's send out a text to your database because the texting will have, an email campaign may have a 20-30% open rate.
Mhm.
Best performing companies have like 40-ish percent. Text marketing, you'll get like a 98% open, and you can get like, 5, 10, even 20% click through rates. And in our texting tool, you can send a text to everyone that's subscribed, as well as some automations, things like I mentioned before, let's say you're using homepage for Upsells, you can send a text message to every guest when they log into the Wi-Fi with a link to that homepage. So in our text builder, again, we have all of these dynamic fields. So you can say, hey, first name, welcome to property name, find all your information on our homepage, and then they're taken to that page where they have all the links. And because it's via text, it's on their phone for the whole stay. And then what's nice about our texting is it's only one way. So you set up an autoresponder where if someone does write back, you can send them any message you'd like, but typically you're going to direct them to your preferred method of communication. So we're not trying to make a new channel or way to talk to guests, right? We want to funnel every guest hopefully into your one preferred method of dealing with like customer support or guest support.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have this rate and review text campaign. So if you want to collect reviews from guests, you can ask them to review you. If they rate you 5 stars, you can ask them to book a review on Facebook, Google, TripAdvisor, or your own website. Google's definitely the most popular. And they leave you less than 5 stars, you can ask for private feedback that only you see. And this is a great way to get non-booking guests to review you on those other platforms. Google is definitely the most valuable because it really helps with your search results.
Yep.
If you have a lot of 5-star reviews. And so we definitely recommend that if you're looking to up your Google reviews. And then what's cool is if you ask guests maybe like 2 days in, if you do get negative feedback, you can even address it before they leave you, let's say, a review on Airbnb or VRBO.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Love it. So I'm curious, let's talk about text marketing for a moment. I know you said that some of the last minute, booking availability options are some of the highest converting. In your perspective, what else is looking like it converts really well on text?
Yep, I've seen people that have great offers, and it doesn't even have to be like a discount per se. It could be like added value. So you get tickets included for some local venue or performance if you book, or you get, early or late checkout if they book early. So like promotional text works really well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I've seen new property announcements work really well. Like, hey, we've launched this new property in XYZ destination. Check it out here. Right. And that way, people are like, ooh, people love kind of real estate related, like especially interesting properties. Right. So those are definitely the promotions and new property announcements are definitely the top 2 outside of the availability based text messages. But I'd say text message, not as good for just kind of like, we publish a new blog post. Things that have a little less value are going to drive a little higher unsubscribes. So you don't want to overdo it with text, right? Because it should be impactful and interesting for your audience because it's going to have such high engagement.
Yeah. And let's talk about cadence for a moment. Again, from your recommendation, should people think about texting their list once a month, once a week, somewhere in between? What are your thoughts?
I think it really depends. I think text is more driven by business need. So I would say you can, if you have something to offer every month, that's great. But I would say it's really more like when people have low availability or like it's a very high occupancy time of season, I think people are texting less. And then as they kind of are trying to drive more bookings for a lower season, or they're seeing a lower flow of bookings through OTAs, then they kind of ramp it up. So that's what's nice about text is the amount of work to send a text message is so low, right? It takes like a few minutes that you can really amp it up or dial it down depending on kind of what your business needs are.
Yeah, exactly. This is so good. This is so good. I'm curious, what's next for StayFi?
Yeah, many things. So I'd say number 1, we talked about email marketing. We want to build out more of those one-click campaigns and really integrate them deeply with your property management software, i.e. we talked about like availability-based emails. Let's actually look in your software and look at your calendar and actually pull in the properties that have availability with the dates and the prices, right?
Yes.
And make a coupon code for you that actually will work on your website. So we kind of want to do all of that heavy lifting for you and just produce the email that you can send right away with some minor customization, right? So
when can I sign up for that, Arthur?
before the end of the year,
Oh
I'll
my
use
God.
a vague timeline there. Yeah, so we'll have new emails launching every month. So we can really, and that will also include longer automation. So we have like arrival. Obviously, we want to do departure,
Mhm,
and then
mhm,
anniversary, like after
mhm,
X months after the last booking, right? We're going to
mhm,
send a reminder to book again. So all of those types of automations we want to build out. I'd say some kind of better, I would say better onboarding or setup for wanting to achieve certain objectives. So we
mhm,
talked one thing that a lot of our customers have success with is selling early check-in.
mm,
But to do early check-in with StayFi well is possible, but it's you have to create the custom buttons on your homepage. You need to send it to the guests prior to the stay. We built this new piece called pre-arrival messaging, so we can actually send
right.
a message through your property management software to like advertise early check-in.
Mm,
But right now, you kind of would have to customize all the messaging to like focus on this one product. Whereas if you just tell StayFi, I'm really interested in selling early check-in, then we would tell you, okay, these are the 4 things you need to do to sell early check-in very, very well. Or
mm,
maybe you want to sell late checkout, or maybe you really want to have people book again, right? So we want to present like some of the top ways folks are earning revenue, and then if those things are interest you, we want to show you like how you can get the most out of StayFi to do those things, if that makes sense.
absolutely. Absolutely. This is so good. I'm curious, Arthur, is there anything else that you feel like is relevant for our audience to know before we drop off?
Yeah, I would just say you can use. I think this is a big one where we see a lot more people signing up. It's like you can start with StayFi just with the data that you have. I think for a lot of folks, they're a little more hesitant around the Wi-Fi piece. Maybe they don't want guests going through those extra steps. They don't know if they want to invest in the hardware. So I definitely recommend the email marketing tool is free once you connect your software up to 200 contacts. So I always recommend people to sign up, give that a spin if they've never done email marketing before. And then once you realize, hey, this is a great tool and channel, then let's look at how do we add more data. And that's where I would say
Mhm.
Wi-Fi can fit in great. So you can add, get data from 80, 90% of all your guests instead of maybe 5 or 10% that you are today.
Yep. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for walking us through this. I think it's absolutely incredible. Again, I'm a huge fan. I'm a user myself. I will drop a link to StayFi. If you're watching this and you want to sign up, I highly recommend you do. But we'll drop a link in the show notes. And Arthur, this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Stacey, and thanks for letting me show the actual StayFi platform because I think
Yeah.
it's so much easier when you can actually see it in real life, right? So
Amen.
yeah.
All right. We'll see you soon.